Oh, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 793 of FloWrestling Radio Live. I'm your host, Christian Piles, joined today by Ben Funky Askren, James Dean Rader, not Shane Sparks, and soon, Helen Maroulis. Helen coming at the top of the hour. That sounds very industry when you say top of the hour. Our producer Tyler said it before the show started, and I was like, man, we can sound like some real hard-hitting journalists if we say that. So that's my attempt. Ben, you were talking about Luna coming in.
We were?
Yeah, you
were. We don't want to talk
were.
about Luna. This is like Bruno. You don't want to talk about Bruno.
You made a reference to that one time. You said we don't talk about Bruno. I was like, what is he talking about? And then I realized it's from a Disney movie.
Yeah, my kids watched that movie. Like, you know what? They went off it. What?
I'm looking at the Luna price.
He just realized
JD. Not pretty.
It's weird because JD has his salary converted to Luna, so it's not good. Well, it's gonna be a lot better for Flo here really soon.
Oh, yeah. Start paying me now though.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, actually, when I was paid in Bitcoin from one podcast, I would always cheer for it to go down. Like I got paid on I think the 5th of the month or whatever it was. So it was like dip, 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 and then you get like more when it came through. It was awesome.
Good times.
They were good times. Yeah, everyone's trying to party on me because Bitcoin sucks. They just don't realize I bought a whole bunch at like $3,000 to $5,000, and I watched it go to 20. I stayed for 2 years for $3,000 to $5,000. I am a hardened investor, and it's not fun. I'm not gonna act like I'm having a good time here, but it is okay. It's totally okay, people.
This is why I bought so many when it was $5. I got like.
I wish. Wouldn't that be awesome?
It looks like it's about at the price when it started going up.
Oh, here we go.
Bitcoin? No, it started. I mean, because in the run from 2020, obviously after Corona, it dropped to 5.
Am I blind?
And then we were between, somewhere
to
under 12 to 14, and then in like November, it made a run up to a very high number.
All right. Hey, so we did not give you kind of the rundown of the show. I did this. I'm sorry. I brought the crypto talk into it. My bad.
What? We love crypto.
We'll get into the show. So we're going to finish up talking seeds. We're going to talk a little bit about the ways we didn't get to talk to yesterday. A couple questions, voicemails, and then at 9, top of the hour, Helen Maroulis coming on to talk about a lot of things, but in particular a film project she's a part of that looks really, really freaking good. Speaking of film projects, JB6 coming out very soon. Should be on the site.
Is it full film?
It's a Flow film. Yes, indeed. And you know what? You don't want to know the worst part of the film?
I don't know. What is it?
Because it freaking starts with the Jordan Dake FRL, which was like one of the worst.
Legendary.
Only making Ben happier.
No, it was bad.
Legendary. What do you mean bad? That was the greatest radio we've ever had. We've had 793 episodes. It was the best one.
No, you can't correlate most viewed with best.
We can.
But no. So the film starts about that, and it talks about the Dake blindside and just how crappy that was. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But I'm like, crap, I don't want that. Still feel really bad that you did that, Ben. That was bad. You shouldn't do that.
It was fair. Listen, and I told me and Jordan talked this one out, but I don't know if you remember before the show. We were all on before the show. He was so pissed that I picked Kyle Dake 2-1 with 6 seconds of ride time or something. It was. I think people were just stuck in their house. It was coronavirus.
Yeah, we were all stuck.
It was unreasonable.
Everyone was angry because they didn't get to the trials. Everything, their entire lives got postponed. So they're like, you know what? Let's just yell at each other. I'm glad you and Jordan squashed it live on air. That was good. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's coming out. We got a lot of what a week.
We're probably somewhat close to or was that April when that happened? I was gonna say the 2-year anniversary.
Yeah, when was that?
April. It was definitely April sometime.
It was April.
Yeah, it was right around the time, April 16th, 2020.
So about 13 months.
Wow.
Or
yeah,
not 20, plus 12.
25. It's obvious 13 months.
There
12.
You go.
That's how we talk months here. All right. So, great start.
Great
We'll
start.
we'll get. We'll
I'm gonna
pull
see
up-
how many views that show has. How would I search that? Bracky, where's Bracky at when we need him?
Call Bracky.
Bracky.
As we
How do I
established,
search
he's not
this?
going to call you. No chance.
He's not gonna call me. How rude.
Okay, so the number 1 seed at 92 kilos, Cam Caffey. Number 2, Nate Jackson. Now, Nate had a crazy story. Have you been able to listen to the interview yet?
With
I did not.
I have not.
Okay. So apparently he tested positive at
Oh,
Pan
that
Am's.
story. Yeah.
What other story would that
Oh,
be?
for coronavirus.
I thought about the fact that he had to wrestle Last Chance and
Well, so he did not test. He tested positive for steroids.
Wait.
But it was a total like mess up on the tester's part, and so he's been working through it. He was like literally
So confused.
he was going to potentially retire Nate Jackson, but then he got cleared. He was able to wrestle. He won Last Chance, but it was a total like not a positive test, as it turns out. So he's back in the mix.
Wow.
Well, we'll plug the interview after the show. JD can put it in the show notes so you can listen and get the full story from him. But yeah, crazy story with Nate, and glad everything worked out and that he was able to wrestle, and now he's, he looks to me like, what percentage chance would you give Nate to make Final X out of this field, Ben?
Really high.
Really high. Let's put a number, because that would be
65%.
65. Okay.
I was gonna say even higher.
I was gonna say like, if they wrestle this tournament,
65 is pretty good, I think.
if they wrestle this tournament 100 times, I think he probably wins it 80.
That's about
Okay.
what I was gonna say.
Okay.
That'd be my thought. Now, obviously, Cam Caffey, Jay Aiello are good, but these are kind of college guys that are not super seasoned on the senior level. Jay is a U23 medalist, which is notable.
They
but
have a
man,
small chance.
They have a chance. But the fact that, and also the fact that it's 2 out of 3 makes it more likely to me. Like it's really hard for me to think of him making the finals.
Wait. The finals is 2 out of 3 when they got to make it when the winner goes to Final X.
Yes.
Really? So the
The semi-winners are not 2 out of 3.
correct. But so if someone were to make the finals in a weight that already has one Final X participant, they would have to win a 2 out of 3, and then if they were to make team, they have to win another 2 out of 3.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa! I didn't realize that. I thought it was only I thought obviously it was only in the weights where there wasn't a Final X participant.
Right.
Wow, wild.
Toughy. So yeah, So that's a challenge, but for Nate, I just see him as a really big favorite there. He looked like he was wrestling really well at Last Chance, although not an elite field. But this is not a typical 92 field. And when I look at this 92, I'm like, why would Colin or Mike Mock not try their luck down there? Because I think
I agree. Why not?
it's especially for Colin when you kind of know where you. I mean, it's Kyle Snyder's weight, right? And you could say, all right, well, 92 is Jaden Cox's weight, but at least anecdotally, you've wrestled with Jaden before, albeit it was like his freshman year. But he's wrestled Jaden tough, and he's trained with Jaden, and you would have to figure if you had to pick one, you would probably have a better shot against Jaden. That's my opinion, just from a stylistic standpoint. But Colin's
but then also, to that point, Christian, making Final X is an accomplishment. And when you look at any of these 97s, what are their chances at 97 versus 92? Well, I guess it's not that much better. It's probably slightly better.
I would disagree. I think if Mike or Colin goes down to 92, there's a far greater likelihood of them making Final X than if they stay up at 97. Because I say at best, I view Mike Mock versus Colin as like pretty much a 50-50 proposition. And
Do you think they're both favorites over Nate Jackson?
I do.
Yeah, probably.
I feel pretty sure that Colin is a decided favorite over Nate, and I view Colin and Mike Mock as basic peers, very similar. I view them similarly. So yeah, I think I kind of do. 92 reasonably is a weight you would expect them to be able to make, but they're not. Yeah. And so that's a benefit to, I think, Jaden, and a benefit to Nate Jackson, I think, in this case. And so 97, as I kind of already skipped ahead there, but Mike Mock, Colin Moore, the top 2 seeds there. TJ Dudley, Sam Mitchell, the 4 seed. Ethan Laird, the 5. So
it is kind of wild how non-deep these fields are compared to what they have been the last few years, and then also obviously how tough 197 is ridiculous in college right now, and these fields are not very good comparatively.
Yeah. Are the Elams trying to make any world teams?
It doesn't appear so. I don't think either one's a junior anymore. So it would be, I don't know if it'd be U23. I don't know. I'll ask. If I don't think a lot of them are going to U23s, but I'm not sure on that one.
So yeah, the Heat at 97 looks like a potential Colin Moore, Mike Mock 2 out of 3, which would be exciting. Those two had a great match at the RTC Cup where Moore was up late and gave up a 2 takedown and 2 on a lace to lose the match, either by criteria or by 2 points. I can't recall the final score, but it was like a literal buzzer beater leg lace. Mike Mock downed Colin Moore there. And I'm not sure if they met since then, but I remember that match vividly. It was really exciting. And then
a little sidebar from earlier in the show. I did the work.
Is Luna back up?
Luna ain't ever coming back. A lot of smart people predicted that it was going down and never coming back. But not what I was going to talk about. Episode 484, Jordan Burroughs, Kyle Dake. Between YouTube and I don't have the numbers for Flow, but between YouTube and Facebook, it's over 400,000 views. It's a lot for FRL.
It's funny.
That's just the main video too, probably, because I think we clipped it up.
Oh, yeah, you clipped it up too.
We clipped it up.
That's just the main video.
Yeah. It's funny. People still reference that. I was at the practice the other day, and someone was talking about Kyle Dake, and someone kind of offhanded goes he's getting younger every day, bro. Not even to me. And I was like, that's funny that's still getting brought up.
Yeah. Every day.
Anyways, every day. That's a good goal. 125, Zilmer the 1, Gwiz the 2, Slim Tone in at the 3 seed, and Dom Bradley the 4, Ty the 5. Kyvan Gadsden, Big Kyvan at 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple other.
This weight class is kind of fun, actually.
This is a deep weight. Yeah, because you go Gadsden, Demetrius Thomas, but then Lucas Davis and Jordan Wood back to back. Yep. So that'll be a early match, round of 16 match between those two. And then Christian Lance, All-American, Derek White, NCAA finalist, and the Sauce Daddy, Saran Francisco, rounding out the 12. He left his shoes on.
Why is he the Sauce Daddy?
That's what they call him at Flow. I don't know if that's his actual nickname or just something that they call him, that's Andrew Spey calls him. But to me, funny. He is the Sauce Daddy. But also, he is the shoeless Sauce Daddy because he retired at the last chance, I think, Olympic qualifier in 2021. But he's back. He unretired. He got another pair of shoes. He took the shoes off. JD?
Sometimes you got to put the shoes back on. I take my shoes off every day.
You take the shoes off on the mat. I never took the shoes off on the mat because I was never sure if I wasn't coming back. And I didn't want to pull those shenanigans where I took the shoes off and then had to put them back on.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So 125 is really fun. And I think that the question here is, should Cassiope navigate this to Gwiz? Which is definitely a question because he's going to have to beat probably Gadsden and then probably someone before that potentially. That's
Gadsden, man. Gadsden's been wrestling for a long time, huh? Well, I feel like you graduated 2013, 14. Oh, 15.
15.
Okay, I was off.
That's when he beat Kyle.
Yeah. Duh. Yeah, I guess he still got some good miles in him. Then I could see him beating.
He ain't no Tom Bradley. Sure. Tom Bradley been in these streets.
Tom Bradley, we were college
13.
teammates. I mean, oh, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't. I guess I just coached him then at college.
I think he was the one. He was definitely ranked number 1 during different points of the year. One heavyweight was really.
Dom
good
was twice. Dom was a couple times. Yes.
Yeah. That was Galagayev and him and McMullen. All those. That whole.
Damn, that was a big deal then. That
huge.
Yeah. That for Dom that Gable didn't come back because I mean Dom Has he ever made the team? I know he won a U.S. Open, but has he ever made the team?
No, never made a team. He's
He's never made the team, right?
Mm-hmm. No, never.
Yeah.
He beat Tervel at the Open.
Yeah. So when you look at this, I mean, get Gwiz or whomever comes out of this is going to have to wrestle probably four, maybe 5 matches on the day, and then turn around and wrestle Dom in, what, 2 weeks? 2 weeks
Yeah.
ish?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because this is not a sit. There's no one sitting out in Final X for this one. So yeah, it could be interesting. You know, I would love to see Dom make it through there. Just like him a lot. Love Ty Wall. Zilmer's fun guy to watch, but to see Dom get a shot to make a team would be a really cool storyline.
Absolutely.
But that guy, he just competes all the time. I think he must just love wrestling.
Loves it.
That's awesome. Okay, so that rounds up.
I almost got out of retirement last night, Christian, because someone posted a UFC graphic of the 8 male champs right now. I'm actually kind of shocked by this today. 8 male champs. The youngest one is 32.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was like shocked when I saw it. So it was like a couple 32s, a couple 33s. I think Usman's 35, and the heavyweight's 35, and then Glover's 42.
What?
Crazy, right?
That's nuts. I mean, I knew Marty. You know, Marty really, he's showing like no signs of like slowing down. Slopes.
Lowbirds. Yeah. So it's like, wow, they're old. And then, I mean, honestly, we never saw this in wrestling ever. But this current crop, and we've talked about this a couple of times, but I don't never really, maybe in relation to age, like this current crop is aging now. Where I don't think David's getting old, but how old's David? He's getting 30. Kyle's getting close to 30.
What are you talking about? David Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's over 30.
And Jordan's easily over 30. I wonder if this is like one of the oldest, once we get the team, obviously, it'll likely be one of the oldest teams we've ever had combined age.
Mainly because it's the same team just a year later. You know?
Well, yeah. I mean, because they were old last year, and they're all likely going to make the team again.
Yeah, David's 31.
Yeah.
Him and Kyle Dake are about the same age.
Jordan's obviously older.
Now you always act like Kyle's way older than he is. I think he's like 26.
Kyle Snyder, yeah, I was just gonna say everybody thinks Kyle Snyder's
young.
older, but just because he's been making teams.
He is 26.
2015.
Whoever makes heavyweight is obviously going to likely be older.
Yes.
I mean, Cassie will be the only
Unless
younger one there.
Dude, if Cass makes the team out, that'd be pretty surprising to me.
Yeah.
Just the guys he would have to know.
He beat Don Bradley last time they wrestled.
Yeah,
right?
Don Bradley's the least of his worries. He's got to get by Gwiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you're talking about like Dom making a team, and then it's like, but if Cassiope makes the team, and
no, I mean he's not going to make the team. That's the main thing. 2, Dom. I was just speaking from a more sentimental perspective. He's got to beat Ty and then Hayden Zilmer, who I think he just lost to.
Yeah.
So
dang, even Gilman's gonna be 28 at the time of Final X.
Man, how old? I'm trying to find out how old Don Bradley is.
Dom's gotta be 34, 33.
That's not old.
I mean, I think if you go 10 years ago and you look at like the ages, I think you would see that this team is way older.
Yeah.
Bradley's born in 89, so he would be 33.
33. Shoot. I'm turning 37 this week.
Yeah. Old man Christian.
Old man me.
Did more college guys used to compete in these things?
No, but what I was saying was like guys didn't stick around for very long. Maybe one cycle, and then they were done because there was no money in it. And they always went on to coach or do whatever.
Right now. So no, I don't know. I don't know where they at. All right. Let's get to some questions. We had some voicemails.
Yeah, there's some good ones in here.
Ben loves the voicemails. So let's start with Chris from Montana. Shout out Montana.
Gentlemen, this is Chris from Montana. So a couple of weeks ago, you guys were talking about the greatest college wrestlers of all time, and you guys brought up a couple hypotheticals of what if. So I have a couple what ifs for you. What if A, Zane Rutherford beat Stever his freshman year and went on to win a national title and then continued his success after that? Or what if he redshirted his freshman year and then won the next year? Both ways winning 4 times. Do you think he'd be the greatest college wrestler of all time if either both of those happened or one of those happened or whatnot? Thank you, gentlemen. Bye.
It's a good question. It's Zane's, what if scenarios are really curious. I would say if he beats Steber, even with a loss that year, but he wins NCAAs, and then he does what he does his next 3 years, you might have to crown
There's
him.
definitely a possibility.
Yeah.
As the best?
Yeah.
You can't be the best with a loss.
If you beat a GOAT along the way, that is a
You can make
Not
a significant
a GOAT, because he would still be below the GOAT, who had 0 losses on his record and was very dominant. Remember, we went back and looked at how dominant Kale was.
true freshman.
We all forget.
Okay, then Paul Jen.
Paul Jen was redshirt year though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but no one counts Kale's redshirt year. Yeah, I would say
So
I think the better
why can't
won't
he
be.
lose to someone in the regular season and beat him at NCAAs and be like, all right, that's fine.
I think people would just hold. I think to JD's point, people would hold it against him that it's not undefeated. And although it was uber dominant, Kale was uber dominant also, so you can't really compare those. Kale did beat really good people because like Egan went on to win a world silver. Cormier went on to be a how many time world.
Trench is
member.
maybe the best to never win. He's
Trench was like
certainly in the conversation.
3-3, 2-3 or something. Something to that effect. Yeah. So I think it would still be Kale. I think Zane is probably a top. Have we ever made our list on college careers? I think Zane's probably a top 15. I would say.
I think we did, and I think he was in the top 10.
Yeah, I think he would be.
Yeah, he's really elite. So
don't forget he lost to Mitchell Port.
He got ported.
He didn't just lose to Steber.
Right.
Although he did beat Steber his freshman year.
That brings him down, though. I mean, that's one of the things that's so impressive about Kyle Dake. It's something that we don't really discuss is the difference between a redshirt and a non-redshirt because, if to the point, if Kale didn't redshirt and we're counting Paul Jen loss against him, would he have won NCAAs that year? I don't know, maybe not, right? Might have. And then we wouldn't be talking the same. We would have a totally different thought process around Kale, which isn't fair at all.
Yeah.
So that year matters so much, but I think oftentimes because it's just so much easier to compare stats, we neglect that year and what it means.
But it's also maybe Zane's, because then he redshirted, maybe he would have been very similar to his true freshman year that year. It's just
Possible.
a big what if.
Yeah.
You can't
That's what I'm saying. What
you
if?
can't say
it's
what
a what if
ifs.
people don't consider.
So I think the more interesting question is what happens if Zane redshirts his freshman year, and then what does he become? Because obviously
I think he's much better his second year.
Yeah, and then that year, if he goes 49 out the gate, then that's 2015 149.
It was not a great way.
It's like Drake Howdeshell, Dave Habit. That was the NCAA final that
winning.
year. So that's the crazy thing. But they had to have him that year in 2013-14 because they wouldn't have won NCAAs without him. It was that.
Yes.
It was that tight. I'd be curious. So he won his first NCAA title. KL did in '99. So I wonder who the 1998 184 NCAA champion was. Do you remember, Ben?
I'll look it up. No, I'm gonna look it up.
It's funny because we
Maybe
the
Versus Jones might have been in the finals. I think. Let's see. It was
77
Mitch Clark.
90.
Yeah, Mitch Clark, Tech Fall versus Jones.
Well, that was 177. It says here.
That's probably where he would have been. I'm guessing.
I don't think
Or
Kale
would have been 190.
190. Probably Tim Hartung beat Jason Robeson. It's interesting. So the weights changed his first year.
Yeah. Chael Son in 8th place. Congrats, Uncle Chael.
Shout out.
Yeah. I mean, the 190 was a tough weight class because I remember the top 4 there: Hartung, Robeson, Full Heart, Tobin were all good. 177, obviously got Aaron Simpson in 4th and Egham in 5th. I don't know anything about John Withrow. And then Vertus Jones is who he would beat in Well, he beat Eggman in the NCAA final. He beat Versus Jones in the NCAA final, but I don't remember which was which.
Yeah. It's crazy. Was it Kale's bonus stats we looked up again, and they were just stupid from start to finish.
Yes.
What? Kind of feels like he probably would have won that year, but I don't know. I don't know enough about those weight classes to really definitively say. But yeah, the Zane what if is interesting because he redshirts in 13, 14. He's a favorite to win 15, and then we saw what happened 16, 17, 18. But so good question there. Next question, long time, first time. Let's hit that one.
That's that first time.
Yeah, I'm a first-time caller, long-time listener. Question is, what's your thoughts on the Minnesota in the next few years with guys like Spratley, Jamison, Chittum coming in? I was listening earlier and talking about the Jamison kid being big for his weight. He's going to be a 141-pounder, and I think Chittum's going to go probably 149. And Spratley, obviously, probably a 125-pounder. Also, give a shout-out to the coaches of Spratley and Jamison, John Hardy, Texas Pride Wrestling. So, anyways, just want to know what you guys' thoughts are. Thanks. Bye.
First off, shout out to the Lone Star State, Texas.
Lone Star State.
Man, I really like Spratley. He was certainly eye-opening. The Open.
Yeah. Jamison's good too. Both those Texas guys are good. But then you also have they were really high on. I'm trying to find the kid's name right now.
Gavin Nelson?
No. A kid who's on their team already. Oh, Aaron Nagao. They're really high on him also. They think he's really tough.
Nice.
And then they have Patrick McKee on their team still. So they have to figure out how to fit all those guys in the right spots down there.
Well, McKee's this upcoming will be his last year, right?
No, he has 2 left if he wants.
No
it.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he does.
McKee.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's competed 4 years.
I'll
One
be
of those
glad
doesn't
when
count.
I'll be glad to enter the time when I know how many years. Guys
Seriously,
have left.
right?
It's just like every.
It's so funny. But besides that, I mean, I guess they have a lot of, I don't say promise. But unless Gable comes back, they don't have a lot of for sure points at all. I mean, like, and Andrew Sparks showed some promise. Salazar's done some good things, but
Brayton Lee, if
Bailey
he's healthy, will
O'Reilly,
be good.
Brayton Lee. But can you say, I know these guys are going to be top 5 guys, and like, I don't think you can say yes to any. Not even McKee you can say yes to.
True.
You can only say it if he loses early, and then you know he will get third.
I think when he wins first shot next year, the coach will be like, no!
No,
Why did you do that?
They need to trick him. They need to hypnotize him.
Hypnotize.
I'm telling you, hypnotize Patrick McKee. Have him convinced he's already lost. You're in the wrestlebacks. You're trying to get third,
And he'll win.
And then he'll win. How does Minnesota not have a hypnotist on staff yet?
I don't know. Yeah, so they got some tough dudes, but you know, the way NCAA points are scored, we've talked about this. You got to be a guy who's getting in the top 5, otherwise you're not going to have that huge of an impact.
Ben, do you believe in hypnosis?
I've never been hypnotized, so I'm gonna say no until I actually like feel it. I think there's definitely a possibility, but I've never felt it.
You can definitely be hypnotized, but you also have to like, if you don't believe like in hypnotization, like I believe it's much harder, if not impossible, to hypnotize you.
I may not be hypnotizable then.
Well, like, I bet like if you like went to a good hypnotist, they could hypnotize you.
You got to get a good one.
Yeah.
You can't just go to your run-of-the-mill hypnotist.
No.
There's so many of those when they do like the big performances where it feels like a scam to me. It feels like these MFers are performing up there. They're not really hypnotized. This is bullcrap.
Yeah.
You definitely got to get people that are like, I can be hypnotized. Hypnotize me.
Yeah.
Like if you went up there, it wouldn't work.
Wouldn't work.
Me?
Yeah, because you'd
I
be
would
like,
go
this
up
is
there with
dumb.
an open mind saying, if this is real, hypnotize me then. I am ready to be hypnotized. We'll see what happens.
I love it.
But,
what if? Okay.
What if?
I don't know if this is even legal, but what if we switched your deal from getting tased to you getting hypnotized?
If you this is you have the receipts for me being tased, so if you want to switch it out,
just
go
make a
ahead.
new bet. Both could happen.
No, Okay.
I will trade you. I will trade you because I would actually like to see if it works too. You guys would have to, you'd have to find someone really good at it.
A board certified hypnotist.
Board certified hypnotist. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people. It wouldn't be that funny to me to see Ben Taze. Maybe I would laugh, but like it would be way funnier to see him be hypnotized and maybe have to like buck like a chicken or something.
Or you'd probably say, let Christian Piles pin you.
There's no let about it, Ben. If I get the chin and arm, it's over. It's over.
I saw Bo Nickel at the US Open. I said, Bo, if I let you have a chin and arm, you think you can pin me? He said, damn straight I can. I said, we could do this on the sidewalk.
How does that come up organically?
I walked up to him. I said, Bo Nickel. I said at age 19, no one was going to chin and arm because effing Coach Horton pinned me. I said, this is bullshit. No one's going to ever do that to me again, and no one's ever done it to me again. And I said, he came up on FRL. He said, if anyone could pin me in a chin arm, I think it'd probably be you. Do you think you could do it? And first he said, well, what's that? I said, well, come on, man. You get the chin, you go under the arm. He said, yeah, I could. I said, let's go. Let's go. We ain't got to wait. Because I said 19, no one's going to do it again.
Age
and
19.
He laughed. We had a good time. And he walked up in the sunset.
Man.
Actually, it was the morning, so it was a sunrise, I think. him and Jason Nolf are going to have some delicious breakfast somewhere, I bet.
Probably so.
I would like to get Shane's thoughts on hypnosis.
Oh,
God. God.
I can see Shane. I would love, yeah. I feel like Shane would have a strong opinion about hypnosis.
I feel like he'd be in on it, but I could also see him have a strong take against it.
He might think it's part of the occult too.
Yeah.
Which maybe I should think that too. I don't know. I don't know where the church lands on hypnotizing.
Hey, did you guys know in the year 1998, the Ohio Bobcats were a top 10 NCAA wrestling team?
What is that the year? What's his name?
White Gardner won it from Ohio.
Okay.
No, Personal's like 2005. But listen to this top. So you had a kind of a normal top four: Iowa, Minnesota, Oklahoma State, Penn State. But Central Michigan was fifth. Shout out to them. West Virginia was seventh. Oregon State was tied for ninth with Ohio University.
Wow.
Yeah, impressive.
That is impressive.
That was a big year for brackies everywhere.
Yeah, because you have West Virginia and Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. It's 1998. No, he wasn't born then. He's older than that.
Bringing it all the way back to the question that started this.
Yeah.
What are we even doing?
The Gophers should maybe be a little worried about Chittum. He's still out there taking visits.
What?
I heard about that.
Are you gramming him or what?
He was on the gram in Columbus last weekend.
So go to Ohio State. They could use a good recruit. It's been a little bit.
You know what? They are one of the only. They would be. Minnesota actually would kind of be one of the others, but there's not a lot of college programs who actually have like guys doing Greco wrestling. But they got the Wisconsin connection. They got oh my gosh, what's their name? The Kuntz brothers and the Red Sherrill, and then
Orndorff.
Obviously Buzakis loves Greco, and I think they have someone else too that loves Greco.
Orndorff
loves Greco.
Jay Jaggers.
I don't know that he's ever done Greco. Has he? I don't think so. We're the same era in high school. I don't remember. I mean, really, if you look at high school Greco, it's only really a couple states. It's generally like Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota really care about Greco. You'll get a few California dudes and like a Utah or Idaho. I think Joseph Smith, some said wearing the golden tablets, like you can only wrestle with your upper body.
Wow. I missed that one. Yeah, so it would be. So does he probably fit in as a 49 there if he goes to Ohio State after Sasso?
Where else could he go? Because you got
Patty
Buzakis and I was thinking Buzakis. Well, you got Patty too, but you got Buzakis and
Mendez at 33,
Jesse Mendez.
41.
Yeah, they
need to kill his Greco dream and just let him focus on folk style and freestyle.
Living those Greco dreams.
I would have liked to have been in the first ever Greco-Roman like rules meeting when they were just like,
Do you think there was a rules meeting?
I have an idea.
That's so funny.
Well, however this was created.
Yeah.
Either-
I love this.
Joseph Smith on the golden tablets. Ye shall not touch the legs.
Yeah. How did that come out? That's a good point, JD.
I have no idea.
There's like,
well, I know
have
where
an idea.
folk-style
Let's
wrestling came
wrestle,
from.
but just from the waist
here.
up.
Well, they have. I mean, we talk about this. They have national styles in other places. Like they got the Turkish oil wrestling. They got the Mongolian diaper wrestling.
But why would they
and-
think it would be better?
Folk style came from catch wrestling, which was pins or submissions, and then one path diverged to professional wrestling, one path diverged to collegiate, where you can score points. I have no idea how Greco wrestling started. I'm gonna Google it right now and see what it says.
One path eliminated it as a sport entirely, and and the other path was. That's true. It's true. It's not a sport. So that's quite a
wow.
divergence in that wood. Here we go.
Oh, you're funny.
got
Greco
the-
wrestling originated early in the 19th century in imitation of classical Greek and Roman representations of the sport.
Okay.
The creator was John
Smith.
Briat.
Not familiar.
Flat
with this.
hand wrestling. Some may call it flat hand wrestling.
We should start that movement.
Oh wow.
All right, let's get to some other questions.
Oh yeah, there were some good ones here. We got to go 5
Which
minutes.
one do you
long.
like the
Can I-
most? You ask.
Okay,
it.
well, I like this actual cannibal who usually asks really good questions. Is talking about the jump in weights in freestyle schoolboy wrestling 14U. 13-pound jump is fine. The upper weights in 14U is weak, dude. There's not a lot of great people there. Just the bell curve of athletes. The 13-pound jump there is very. It should be. That's how it should be. That's good. Stop.
It's
whining.
just weird to go 25, 30, 36, 49.
25, 30, 36 are actually too close in my opinion. I don't know why they're that close. I would spread those out a little bit. I can tell you that's fine. We have
Well, then
we have
if
a lot of kids that age. It should be spread out.
And I think you kind of agree with him then, because like 13 pounds is too big. So if it was like 140 to 149, I don't think we would say anything.
No, honestly, I would just take. I would really probably just take out one of those other ones.
Okay.
And when you think about say 77 to 83, it seems like that's close, but 6 pounds there for a 77 pounder is like probably 8% of the body weight, and this is like 10. 136 is 13 pounds away, which is less than 13.6. So it's like 9.5. We're not talking about a big difference, right? These are similar jumps.
Okay, you got to answer Avery Lynch's question about Ozzy on the Gator.
Yeah, that was funny. Ozzy, I came in the house. I was doing some things outside, chainsawing and moving sprinklers and working on the disc golf course. And I said, "Hey man, I'm gonna eat some lunch and then we gotta go do some other things." And I don't know, because usually he doesn't really help me all that much anymore. Compared to when he was 2, he just wanted to be out there all the time. And I'm not going to force a 4-year-old to work. So when he's a couple years older, I'll probably start making him do some things. But he goes, "No, Daddy, big boys work before they eat lunch. Let's go." And so I'm like, all right, I guess big boys work before they eat lunch. So we went out and did some more sprinkler moving and chainsawing, and then we came back and ate lunch.
Ozzy, he sounds like he grew up on a construction site. How does this happen? He just wants to fight, and he's talking about
All he wants to do is battle. Literally, if, like on Sunday, my girls have wrestling. So 6 and 7-year-olds are at 3, and then 8 and 9-year-olds are at 4, and then we have a high school on the other side. And like I can't remember, one of the groups went to practice, and so whoever he was playing with went to practice. And he stomps over to the high school. He goes, "Dad, I'm bored. I have no one to battle with." So then I got to go find one of the other little kids that got done with practice. Be like, "Hey, Ozzy, that guy wants to battle. Go battle him." And then they fight for like an hour. Everyone's
nice. A legend. Hey, before we have Helen on, we've got the trailer here for the film. So let's watch that, and then we'll welcome Helen.
USA gets their first gold medal.
Just the way she did it, it's so underrated.
And then she suffered an injury.
The doctor said forget about wrestling. But I'm not done yet.
I know she's the best. She just needs to believe.
It's got to be one of the biggest comebacks in the history of sports.
All right, we are back, and we are back with Helen Maroulis, three-time world champ, Olympic bronze medalist, and Olympic champion. Helen, good morning. It's an early morning for you. I know you're in the Pacific time zone, so really appreciate you hopping on. How are you?
I'm good. How about yourself? And thanks for having me.
Of course. We are great. We're talking wrestling. It's World Team Trials Week. Final X is just around the corner. It's a really fun time to be a wrestling fan. I guess we've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk with you about. This film, we just saw the trailer about it, and I think it's a great starting point. Can you talk to us a little bit about this project, what it is, kind of how it came about?
Yeah, so basically, I think in 2018, my manager at the time, Andrea Courtney, introduced me to Dylan Mulick, and we just started talking about this project, and then got connected with Religion Sports and Giselle Peretz and Tracy Aftergood, and this whole team just basically came together to kind of make this documentary. And I don't know, I was super excited, but then I also just, I don't know, I didn't think that maybe it was going to happen, or I think I was trying to talk myself down because it's a bit nerve-wracking. And then it ended up being this amazing, amazing project, and I'm so happy with everything that we covered in this film.
Yeah, so it gets into I guess your struggles and the mental health things that you had to deal with coming back after your injury and all that. What made you so? And you've been pretty candid about it as well, but then this film is even, I'm sure, going to go levels deeper. Mm-hmm. How did you make the decision to be so candid about this?
So and that's a great question, because I've been very, like, in some ways a little bit nervous for this to come out, but at the same time, this is what I chose, and this is what I wanted to share. And really what it came about for me is that I remember kind of in the lowest of lows and just feeling like I completely just was broken, failed as a human being, had all these mental health issues. And I remember one of the sports medicine doctors telling me, this is actually very common. A lot of athletes struggle with this. And I just remember telling her, why aren't we talking about this? because I would have loved to hear that someone else went through this, or, you know, that they came back, or that they just had a happy life after. And I just didn't hear that. And so I felt very isolated and very alone. And I kind of just really felt like a screw up. And I think that when we share our mental health struggles, we realize that we all relate to each other a lot more than we realize. And especially in sport, everyone's got something. You know, we've all competed. You've had nerves, you've had down days, so you're going to be able to relate to people when we share that.
So was there someone that maybe made it click for you, or not, and then you're just hoping to be that person for other people?
I don't think there wasn't one person specifically, but it's interesting because I've heard of some people after, like I know Dale Earnhardt Jr. Suffered from very severe concussions, and I think he ended up retiring off of it. I think for me, I think what was really hard with the mental health thing was trying to figure out what was just inherently like what I felt like was a weakness in my personality or my genetic makeup, and then what was just something that was a struggle that other people dealt with that we were all trying to overcome. And so that was a very interesting journey for me to take. And even with the title Believe, I really like that for the film, because, you know, the whole journey is just me trying to figure out like just how to believe in myself, and how to believe that everything's going to be okay, or how to believe that I'll get better. And so I think everyone struggles, you know, to kind of believe in something and to be able to overcome it.
For basically everyone else on Earth, can you help us understand how you get to a point where you're a multiple world champion, you're an Olympic champion, and how someone as accomplished and incredible a competitor can struggle with belief?
Yeah, that's interesting. Once I moved to Arizona, Mark Perry kind of touched on that in the film a little bit. So I don't want to go into it too much, but kind of one of the things that he said was just, he was just so surprised that someone that has done so much could kind of really fall off the ladder so far, in the sense of just lacking belief. But I think one of my like kind of mantras, or one of the things that has helped me, is just realizing that nobody's given everything in life. And that area where we feel like is our weakness or our lack is also an opportunity for us to overcome and experience like great blessing and breakthrough. So I always lacked confidence, even though I had immense talent and I had the work ethic. And it's just been this really, you know, for me, my biggest journey has just been trying to instill that confidence and that belief in myself, where other people, they just have it naturally, and maybe it's something else that they have to work on. So, but I just want to share that because I hear of so many young kids or young wrestlers that are always reaching out, asking about, you know, I struggle with confidence, or struggle with this or that. And I feel like what's the point of keeping it a secret?
Wait, so not to be repetitive on Christian's point, but so, you know, he said, how did you have the success you did without having the confidence or the belief in self? And in your answer, you kind of said that you fell off the ladder. So I guess prior to everything happening, did you have that belief in self, or was it just something you didn't even really consider? You just went out and did your thing and you didn't consider it, and then you fell off?
Yeah, so I remember always being super nervous before world championships, because once you make the team, all you hear all summer is everyone asking you, are you ready to win worlds? Are you ready to win worlds? Are you going to win? And it just felt so uncomfortable for me, because if I say no, obviously that sounds dumb. Who's going out there to lose? But if I said yes, I'm going to go win, I felt like that just, I'm not that kind of like cocky personality, or it just wasn't natural to me. And so then I just started saying, hey, my job's not to predict the future. My job is to create it. And that felt like it freed it up for me. And it took the pressure off for me having to kind of be like this character that I see in sport that always believes they're going to win and is super confident. And I actually think my confidence comes from not ever saying that I'm going to win something, but just always giving my best effort and pursuing excellence. And so pursuing excellence takes the pressure off of me needing to be confident all the time. But I will say that my faith played a huge part into the 2016 Olympics. I did this crazy like prayer journal fast, and it was just the happiest I've ever been going into that Olympics. And man, win, lose, or draw, it wasn't going to matter to me. But then after I won the Olympics, I lost all of my confidence again, because I couldn't tell you why I won the Olympics. Like I didn't even when I went back, I'm like, well, what do you
mean?
Like everyone would ask, why did you win the Olympics, or what was it? And I just remember, you know, my teammate Elena Pershkova, we had the same training, we had the same coach, we shared a car together, a room, everything. But, you know, I got this medal, and, you know, I thought she wrestled amazing. I thought she was going to too. And so I was like, well, I can't figure out why one person did over another person. So I just didn't know what it was that made me able to do it. And whatever it was, I'm like, well, I want to repeat this. I want to do it again. But it just kind of, I just remember losing my confidence after the Olympics and literally having to kind of build it back up again for 2017. It was super weird. So I don't know.
For you, how related and connected were your concussion issues with your struggles with mental health?
I think they were super connected, you know, and I've learned a lot, and I'm no doctor, but I'm still learning. And, you know, I've had it explained to me that basically concussions can exacerbate things that are already there, or they can almost, what do you call it? Trigger things that were dormant. And so I remember at one point, after the second concussion, just having my neuropsychologist want me to get tested for like 5 different mental health conditions. And I just remember thinking, this is crazy. I'm 28 and I've lived all my life with, you know, without this. And all of a sudden I might have all these things. So that was just super, you know, I don't know, just really eye opening. But then at the same time, I'm also like, I'm still doing any type of rehab that I can or new stuff. And I'm doing some really cool brain testing right now, and it's been able to pinpoint things. And just from the retraining that I'm doing, I'm noticing like differences back at baseline. And so that's been really cool.
Awesome. The film Believe, can you give us a little more detail? When's it out? How can people watch if they want to?
Yeah, so I actually don't have any of that information right now, but the project came to light with the help of Religion of Sports and with Reserve Entertainment and Chris Pratt's Indivisible Productions. And so they're actually taking it to market right now. So they have all the answers with all that. And I'm just kind of training for Final X. So
Perfect.
When they let me know, I will share it.
Side question. Have you got to talk to Chris Pratt or work with him in any capacity yet?
Yeah, so they kept trying to put it together for us to meet in person, but obviously he's prioritizing his work and I was prioritizing mine. So the dates just didn't line up yet, but we have messaged on Instagram and he's watched the trials and the Olympics and he's been super supportive. And you guys already know he was a big fan of wrestling. So it's just really cool to have him in this sport.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Final X. You're sitting out to Final X because you're Olympic bronze medalist and world champion in Oslo, Norway at 57 kilograms. But you'll have the trials for whoever your opponent will be is going to be this weekend in Coralville, Iowa. And looking at the field, most of these gals that you're going to be competing against still in college, a young new crop. How much do you know about this field?
You know, I was at the US Open, I was there coaching and I watched the 57 finals, of course. So I don't know, you know, I don't know too much about each of the girls, but hey, like if you're in the finals of the US Open, you're making it to the finals of the trials, then, you know, you got my respect and I'm definitely going to take that seriously and prepare for you. So I'm really excited for them. And it's cool to see this new generation now coming up on the scene.
So you'll be at Final X New York. What are your thoughts on attempting to make a world team at Final X, but also supporting the Beat the Streets mission there?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's exciting. I love the Beat the Streets benefits that they do every year. And I love the Beat the Street, just their initiative and what they stand for. It's a nonprofit organization helping inner city youth through wrestling and through other programs like college prep and stuff like that. I'm actually on the board for Beat the Streets DC, and that's been a really eye-opening experience. So I just love the wrestling community. I think that it's a brotherhood and sisterhood, and it's cool to be able to not only make a world team, but then be part of this benefit. So I'm really thankful to the people that put that together.
Yeah, going to be an amazing event. A reminder, if you want, not a reminder, you didn't know this, if you want to donate to Beat the Streets, text Final X to 44321, Final X to 44321. So please go ahead and donate. It is an amazing cause. It's great for wrestling, great for humanity in general, really. I have some other questions, Helen. After Norway, you moved to Greece, or you spent an extended period of time in Greece, and you got to train with, and I'm curious how this all came about, but you got to train with Olympic champion Mukaida. She was the 53 kilogram Olympic champion in Japan.
Yeah.
How did that come about, and how was that experience?
Yeah. So it was a cool story. I just remember when we came back to training before the World Championships, after the Olympics, I was talking to all my teammates, and they were all saying how they wanted to take a break after. And the second that they said they were going to take an extended break, I realized, oh man, I want to do this. And I've always wanted to go live in Greece. I've wanted to go, be more involved with this refugee center. And this is basically the perfect time to do it. But from my concussions and the age that I'm at, I don't want to take time off of wrestling. I don't think that's good for me, especially since I spent all this time just trying to get back to where I was and then progress. So I called Terry Steiner and I said, do you know of anybody that would want to come train in Greece with me? And I was just inviting all the Americans. And he said, oh, well, Mukaida actually wants to come to the US and train. And then I said, well, this is crazy, but can you invite her to Greece and just let her know, even if it's for 1 week or 2 weeks, whatever, I was like, maybe just whatever she wants. And then he wrote back and she said that she'll come for the whole time that you're there.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so she and her husband, who's her coach, they came over and it was so much fun. It was such a blast. So, and it's crazy. I thought I was going to have to ship mats from Athens over to Greece, but there's actually this little kids club, and the coach there was so nice. And then actually one of the Greek 53 kilogram Olympians came over, and then one of our American teammates, Michaela, came over. So it ended up being like a little mini camp.
Wow, that's great. What did you learn, if anything? Japan is often a nemesis for Team USA. They're the standard right now. We're nipping at their heels, and you've had a lot of success against Japan historically. But did you learn anything training alongside her of some things they do differently or better or worse, or what did you take away from that experience?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, so from a technical standpoint, I learned off the feel. So just to be able to get multiple feels of her wrestling and her wrestling style was really beneficial for me. Their speed, I think, comes really from their body position always being in place and always being set up. So it's more efficient, which also makes it seem faster, and it is fast. And just their ability to come up off shots right away, I thought that was great. And so I was really kind of trying to emulate that and learn from that. And then just their mentality, I just really respect. I really respect their mindset. They're kind of like, they're like me in that they're always on. So, I know she's not showing her best moves. I'm not showing my best moves. We're picking and choosing when we want to do that, to see if something works. If it does, we're not really going to show it again. Like it's not about this ego battle of who's going to win every practice. It was more like, we're trying to take the best things from this training so that we can bring it back and be ready for Worlds and then Olympics. And so I really respect them in that. I thought it was great training.
So you had said, basically around the time of the Olympics and Worlds, you were just feeling basically as good as ever, just from how you were performing, and just the love for the sport was fully there. How have you been able to maintain that from that time, World Championships up till now?
Yeah, honestly, when I moved to Arizona, I think I had 5 weeks of training, and I was still trying to heal the torn MCL in my knee and just fix some other things. So I feel like I'm continually getting better. I don't think that my Olympics or Worlds was my best performance to date, and it was good for the time frame that it was in. But man, I mean, we always want more time, right? So I'm just excited to have gotten more time to just continue honing my craft. I've been working on new moves, new styles, so I'm really excited.
Nice. Hey, you said earlier you didn't want, and I'm curious as to why this is, because I don't know anything about it, but you said you did not want to take time off because of concussions. What's the relation there?
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever had, or if let's say you have an injury, right? Or you get shoulder surgery or you get a concussion, and boom, your training stops right there wherever you are. So you're in good shape. Well, then you take time off and you're having to rehab your head or rehab whatever body part that it is. And when you come back, I feel like you think that all the other things will be in place there, but it's not. Everything kind of dips down a little bit. So now you're not just coming back trying to protect your head. Now your legs are going to get tired. You need to get that conditioning back up. You need to spend time building that base, and you don't want to do too much too soon or get injured again. And I just think that as you get older, it's harder on the body. Like a kid can take time off and like come back in there and jump in. I actually think that for me, I think my brain, like when I came back to wrestling after I retired, I would get really bad anxiety attacks after every practice because my brain registered wrestling as like this threat to the system. And then now over time, from just day in and day out, little increments of training, my brain knows that this is what I do every day. So I wanted to kind of keep that. I didn't want to have to retrain that back in because it's a little bit dangerous and it's also really hard on the body.
Got it. So then, referencing earlier what we talked about, you know, kind of believing in yourself, which is that was the title of the movie, and your struggles. If you had to talk to, you know, I don't know, a group of young kids or coach a group of young kids, what is it that you would do to build that in or make that a non-issue for them?
Yeah, I think that sport at the end of the day is this tool that I would want to teach each kid to utilize to help them learn about themselves, because there's not like this one size fits all. And I just think that sometimes we look at the struggles or the disadvantages that we think we have, and we just kind of really cement them as black and white, when it's like, this is actually a tool to make you better. This is going to help make you stronger. Even if you lose this match, or even if you're scared of every opponent that you wrestle, okay, just keep working on it, because man, eventually it could click. Eventually you can overcome that. But I think you just have to have that belief inside yourself, even if it's small, just to keep building on it. And so basically just creating a safe space and an encouraging space for them to do that. And just to know that I always believe in them and that I'll do whatever I can to help them succeed.
Nice.
So.
On the competition side, you had the close semifinal loss to Kawhi at the Olympics, and then she did not go to the World Championships. Is that a match? Are you someone who thinks about like getting a match back or wrestling an opponent? Because I remember I think it was an interview with Bader you actually did, talking about the Ada Koroye match and just like the approach she took with you, and just like how you sort of took that, she was trying to injure and concuss you. Have you thought about those two matches any, and like are you someone that those losses can fuel you and you want to get them back?
Yeah, it definitely fuels me, and not in any kind of negative way. It's like, I want to be the best in the world, and if there's someone that is better than me or that's beat me, like, I'm going to work until I get there. Like, I like that. I like having that drive and that push. And obviously losing the semifinals at the Olympics like that, just the way and the score, and no one really scored points, it was heartbreaking, but I really didn't want that to like taint my Olympic experience, because I was coming back to wrestling to be happy again. But now, looking forward to 2021, I've definitely been working on my game plan and working on new things. So I'm super fueled by it. I'm excited for it.
Well, here's hoping they both are there in your field at 57. That would be exciting. Well, of course, you have to make the team. I do have to say that. Sorry, I'm not trying to put the cart in front of the horse, but
no,
I'm kind of there mentally.
Yeah. I plan to be the best in the world, and then I work backwards from there. So yes, trials first, but also you can't just wait to win trials and then start working on foreign opponents. I'm kind of always thinking about being number one. And if you're number one in the whole world, it's going to take care of being number one in the U.S. So might as well focus on that as well.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely. Well, this has been great. I've really enjoyed having you on, Helen. Anything else you want to talk about? JD, do you have anything for Helen?
No, that was great. That was great.
I got one more question.
Yeah.
I've crossed paths with most of this generation, and Helen and I have never crossed paths. We've never hung out or nothing. I know you've trained a lot of places, and you talked earlier about picking up styles. Who would be the one wrestler that you feel like you've implemented most into your style? If there is one, and if there's not one, then that's fine also.
I wouldn't say that it's one wrestler, but I love the American style, the Russian style of wrestling, and the Japanese style of wrestling. Okay. And I think that if you have those three, then any country in the world that you wrestle, whatever style they're wrestling you in. So if you're wrestling a Russian and you start wrestling them like with a Japanese American mix, then that's effective. If you're wrestling a Japanese person, you wrestle them with a Russian American mix, that's effective. If you're wrestling an American, you can wrestle them with a Russian Japanese kind of mix, that's effective. So I actually kind of like mixing those three styles. They're my favorite, and I think it covers like kind of all the bases in wrestling.
So so if you're saying, so American, you'd say more pressure. Japanese, you'd say quick, lots of reattacks, and Russian, how would you classify that? Like more technical, getting hands on?
Yeah. Russian, I would say, is technical and hand fighting. Japanese, I would say, is body position and speed. And then American, I'd say like heart and pace and just grit.
Okay, awesome. Cool. That's all I got, guys.
Now,
I could talk forever about techniques.
Yeah, well, what's interesting about what you said, Helen, is like, well, the ability to fuse certain styles together for a certain opponent. Like, I don't think that's something that a lot of people can actually do. Do you think that's pretty unique to you? Because I would say there's probably a short list of people that can actually say that.
I don't know. I mean, I was very lucky that I had, a Japanese coach before and a Russian coach, and obviously a lot of American coaches. And then I just kind of started feeling it out. So if I'm wrestling someone and I want to go upper body hand fighting with them, but I feel like they're kind of winning the position, then I'll just change it up and start doing like that Japanese, kind of movement, fake release and start moving that way. And I just found it to be effective. So
yeah,
I how other people train.
And I guess
that's
following up from Ben's question, just about all the places you train. Now you're at Arizona State with Coach Perry and Sunkist Kids. How has that been? And how Mark Perry's one of my favorite people to talk to in wrestling, just because he shoots you straight. And the dude, I love talking to him because that guy is just obsessed with wrestling, and he knows so much. It's like there's not a lot of conversations where I feel like I'm just like totally in over my head, even from like talking about wrestlers, and he just knows them all. What's it like being coached by Mark?
It's awesome. I mean, I love Mark. He's got that wrestling mind, and he's really a genius. And that obsessiveness with wrestling is just nice because I mean, yeah, for this level, you really got to be kind of all in with it. And so I can just go to him about any opponent. He's got the game plan. He knows their style, or just any style of wrestling or any foreign wrestler, and he can kind of pick it apart. And he'll study hours and hours of film, and so he loves it. He'll be in the room as much or as little as you need him, 24/7. So it's just great to kind of have a coach like that there with you.
And one other thing you mentioned I think it was after Poland, you mentioned, okay, I heard you say this in a couple of interviews, I need to start wrestling more with women. Can you elaborate on that and like how training with guys was maybe detrimental to you or just not what you needed from that point?
Yeah. So I'm still working through this, like my little theory of this, but I think that training with women is just an absolute must because there's things that you'll get on women that you can't get on men, and there's things that you can get on men that you can't get on women, as far as like moves and body styles. But I think that college men, and this, I'm trying to think of like how many women I know that just train with college men. I don't think that's the move because college men at that point are like, they're just too strong. And so what happens is it starts taking away a lot of the moves that you could normally hit. And so it's like on a college guy, I'm not going to get stuck shooting under. I'm not going to finish that position. And so I really kind of started doing less and less. Whereas with women or with high school guys, I feel like I can open up more. I can take different risks. Even if I get into a weird position, I can still scramble out of it. And with college men, I just felt like it was changing my style and not really for the better.
Yeah. I think it makes a lot of sense because the bodies move differently too.
Yeah. And that college style of wrestling is just not translating for the women's freestyle.
That makes sense. Makes tons of sense. Well, Helen, do you have anything else before we let you go?
No, that was it. I just thanks for talking to me about all this, and super excited for the movie to come out. I'm grateful for everyone that was a part of it. So
next time you come on, you got to tell us when and where it's coming out.
Yeah.
I know. I was like, I'll send you guys a message when I know.
Yeah, please.
But I know I'm wrestling next. So
heck yes, we can watch you June 8th, Final X New York, Beat the Streets. Going to be a fantastic event, and the thanks are all on our side, Helen. Really appreciate you coming on. Anytime we can get with you is outstanding, and can't wait to watch you wrestle at Beat the Streets. So thanks for coming on so bright and early. You wouldn't know it was 7 a.m. there, and so have a good rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you. You guys too. And see you at Final X.
Yep. See you there, Helen.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. The one and only Helen Maroulis. A lot of interesting stuff there, Ben.
Absolutely. I would have liked to dug a little deeper, but I didn't want to. Sometimes I feel bad if I bogart the show. But
Bogart,
she's trained
Ben.
A lot
I feel like
she trains a lot of places, and I liked her answer, kind of little paper scissors rock thing about the styles of wrestling. But then within the styles of wrestling, you have I think you have people who personify those things. Like if you want to say like, what is the American style? You think of like Iowa style, but obviously that's changing a lot, you know. And Russians, you think of say Sativa, but again, I think that's changing a lot. So yeah,
Japan is the one style where I would say it is pretty, or I'll say it's the closest.
Well, Iran also, right?
Yeah, Iran's the most. But Japan, I feel like, is the most like across the board similar. Yeah, I think she was open to answer.
Well, when she tell her, when we know when her film's coming out, we could have her back on and we could just chat it up some more.
Yeah, I saw the extended trailer. They sent me that too, as they reached out and to get Helen on here. It's really, really, really good. I'm excited to see it. Looks like $1 million, and yeah, obviously a great story. That was one of the more interesting parts for me, hearing about like, oh, she'll just change her style up to meld these two. Like I think for so many wrestlers, I'm not just saying you see at college and at the senior level, it's like the style you get's the style you get with so many different wrestlers, right? Yeah. And like there's not a lot of change, and maybe the changes are more subtle than I can realize. That's also definite possibility.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I talked to Keegan a lot about last summer leading into Junior Worlds was he has a lot of different tools in his toolbox, and in order to be able to change tools, you have to have the tools. And if you can only do one thing, you can only do one thing. You know, like actually, I was coaching a younger wrestler at Freestyle State. It was a high school kid, but it was a high school kid. And he was wrestling someone else. And Mitchell said, well, you told me to do that thing against this guy. Why aren't you telling the wrestler you're coaching now? I said, he can't do that. Like, you know, like if he had that tool, I could say, go implement this tool. But if you don't have it, you can't do it, you know? Right. So first you got to build all the tools. And so then what I was telling Keegan was, you know, every wrestler is like I think about him like a puzzle. And your goal is to figure out the puzzle. And now if you have, like in America, if you have multiple cracks at them or you have film on them because they're in college, you can kind of take time to process that and think about the things, you know, like Keegan and I talked about before the card show match. We talked about a few things before the semi, talked about a few things before Griffith, talked about a few things that we both saw, you know, we've evaluated independently. But then when you go to Junior World, it's like most of these dudes you don't have film on. So your goal, you got to solve this MF and puzzle in 6 minutes. It's like a Rubik's Cube and you're going fast, you know? And if you figure it out in a minute, you have 5 minutes to work. If you figure it out in 2 minutes, you got 4 minutes to work, right? So the faster you can feel this puzzle and you can figure it out, the better you can be. So in certain practices, I would wrestle him with different styles, and I would say, you need to figure out what I'm doing and what my strength and weakness is. And then for every strength and weakness, there is a solve to it, right? There's a way to solve that puzzle. So solve it as fast as possible and then execute on it.
One thing I get curious about for wrestlers that have like giant toolboxes, let's say. They have a lot of stuff they could do. They have a variety of leg attacks and a variety of ways to win. Can it be almost more difficult to like have access to all that stuff when you have so many things at your disposal? Or how do you get to where not only can I execute all these, like being able to execute, but then it would also recognize when it's available and to know when it's all available? How do you get to that point?
The other thing is you got to get to a certain level, right? Because we'll just for the sake of simplicity, we'll say high school, youth, high school, college, or let's just say high school, college, international, right? So if I could hit 4 takedowns at high school level, but none of them work at a college level, then when I get to the college level, I have 0 takedowns, right? Yes. And if I have 4 that work in high school and then I get 4 that work in college, but 0 work international, I have 0 international level takedowns. So you have to get them to a certain level. It's not like you just make like 8 takedowns. If you're just not good enough, you're just not good enough. And so but Keegan, if I put Keegan, because everyone knows him, right? If I put him at a high school level, he probably got 20 takedowns at work now.
Yeah.
You know, and I put him at the college, a lower level college, pretty much all of his takedowns are going to work. You know, higher level, now he does have a handful still, but then I put him against Kyle Dacre or Jordan Burroughs, it's right. He might not have anything that's going to work. So like there are levels to this theory, of course, and you have to be able to hit that level to be able to use takedown or the move. And so I think like with Keegan against a lot of guys at the college level, like all of them work. That doesn't really matter what he chooses, but he should be able against that person. Again, back to the puzzle theory, he should be either able to know ahead of time and or feel it out quickly. What is going to work the easiest against this person? How am I going to dominate them as quickly as possible? And then, against better guys, it's like, okay, I'm not going to be able to dominate this person, but how am I going to beat them? What is their weakness? That type of thing.
Got it.
So you do have to be able to get to the level of like, I can use this, like, and it's this is where I get on some of my high school kids about, say, just a single leg cut the corner, probably the most common takedown in wrestling. It's like, let's drill it. Well, we've been doing this since we were 10. We know this. Yeah, but how many of you guys can do it against every kid in the state? Right? I mean, like, I have a few kids that can, but not all of them. Not all of them. And really, that's probably a small number. How many of you guys can just go hit this technique against any kid at Fargo? The number's not big, so we got to get better at this technique.
So how do you think repetitious drilling is like a big part of that? I don't. Okay, so what is it? Because
I think it's definitely some of it, but and then I think obviously it's a timing, it's a bell curve on timing. Your timing, the better you get, the more narrow the bell curve becomes, and the closer you to perfect time you have to shoot. Right? If you're a little kid and you got a decent single leg, you can pretty much shoot any time and score. We're talking younger. But by the time you get to a high level high school, like you got to have pretty good timing on your setup to get to the leg. So you have to have spend a bunch of time sparring the position to get there, right? So obviously you have to have the technique of I can just do a single leg, boom. Then you have to spar the timing to get to it. Then once you get to it, you got to spar the finish portion and know like what all defenses can this person throw at me? Because surely it's not just gonna be one, right? It's not just gonna be they try to sprawl once they miss a sprawl, I got them. Like that's right. Maybe they're gonna try stuffing the head and spinning. Maybe they're gonna come back in front of you. Maybe it's gonna be some type of hip tip. Like there's gonna be a lot of defenses that can be thrown at. So develop the technique, spar the entry, right? Get the timing, and spar it, and then go live. Kind of to what Helen was saying about wrestling at the college. If you can't execute the technique, you're not going to get the timing. If the other person's just too good, and I always take this to extreme, like, well, if I had you wrestle Cael Sanderson, how many times are you going to do that move? 0. You can get it. He's just too much better than you. You're not going to get it, right? So you got to be able to get the move, right? And that's why we do the sparring, so everyone can have success, a little bit of success with the technique. And then you spar both sides of it so you can get the timing, get the feel for things. And then obviously to be able to execute that at a higher and higher and higher level.
Yeah. So,
and it's hard. I mean, like, it's free. I'm saying in theory. Well, maybe in theory, I have a little better theory than a lot of people. But in my theory, it's still freaking hard. I mean, how many kids do I have that are ranked number 1 in the nation? Like a couple ever. How many kids do I have that are college All-American? A couple ever, right? So it's like saying it is one thing, and then actually executing on it is like uber difficult. How many kids we have that execute on the state level? A lot. There's a lot that get to that level, but jumping these levels is really challenging.
How do you structure the sparring? Just say for a single leg. How do you get the kids to where they're able to do that?
By the time they get to our oldest group, they all pretty much got it. But again, on what level do they got it? Is it state? Is it national? Is it college? But some days it's, hey, they get to the leg and then spar. Some days it's, hey, you got to get to the leg. Like that's literally, the part is get to the leg. Some days it's live. You got to get to the leg, and then, yeah, I just try to chop it up. I try not to make it one big chunk all that often because, that's when you go back to, if you just say go, everyone's going to do what they can already do, and they're not going to develop any new skills, right? You have to force that to a little bit. And, like a big one we've been working on, because it was funny because all 3 of our coaches at Freestyle State were like, I texted, hey, what did you see? What do we need to work on? Every single person was like, freestyle for headlock offense defense. So it's like, okay, this is what we're working on, right? So now we start with, hey, sometimes you have the chin and the arm. Sometimes you have a lock. Sometimes you have a tight lock. And you're just kind of going through all these positions over and over.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I just like listening. I don't have any follow-ups. And I obviously don't have anything to add.
Come on, Ed said, what do the 512 Outlaws do there?
What do you mean in terms of what?
Oh, it said for headlock defense. That's what we were talking about.
I get the chin or get the elbow and circle, square up.
Nice.
Get off your knees.
Yeah.
Gotta get your head across. Knees slide
Well,
up.
in freestyle, it's dangerous to come up to your feet. And I actually say, like, listen, in freestyle, if you're not good, don't come to your feet because you're getting bombed. You know, it's actually harder to defend those type of positions if you're on your feet. In folk style, obviously, you don't want to stay down there. But in freestyle, it makes me nervous if they don't know what they're doing to come up and then they get bombed for 4. And I always say a 4 is worth 3 2s because you need 3 2s to beat a 4. You know what I'm saying?
It's just math.
High. Yeah.
Get that?
Yeah, and then and then kind of to also what Helen says, like when we do those sparring, we always switch partners a whole bunch because every kid in the room does things a little bit differently. So you want to have like a lot of feels on how is someone going to try to score on you from a headlock position. So you go different partners.
You think that's a big part of the success that you just have a lot of different guys that can give different looks? Like it's not just a group of like 6 hammers, but you've got like 20, 25 or however many just competent wrestlers.
Yeah. That helps, but obviously it takes a long time to build that, right? It takes a lot of time and effort. And I think sometimes I think about it is like, hey, what if I just took only 8 of these kids and just all I did all the time was work with 8 of them? You know, like it would be easier to focus energy, but then it's like, but then I'm leaving a whole bunch out, and I don't like that because I want to try to help as many people as possible. But yeah, I mean, it's really nice with, we have 2 separate high school groups, and they both had 30 kids on Monday at them. And this is just in Heartland, right? Not in Madison or Mequon or Franklin or anywhere else. But yeah, most of them in the room can do, you know, the majority of the basic techniques, at least like a state placer level.
Yeah. I just remember one of the things I coveted the most when I was coaching was the ability to move and change up the partners more to give guys different looks, because normally we would have like 4 like all-state finalist kind of caliber guys, but then they just all like those, and they would be 2 different weights, and so the 2 just train together, and really no one else in the room other than the coach can even give a different feel. And then when they go live, it's just like everything's the same situation. So like finding ways to like make it so it wasn't so stale for them, because they would just end up in the same positions every time.
I'll tell you one thing. I put it on them. To like, as like you guys, if you guys, and you know, I start putting on them early, like 8th, 9th grade. Like, if you guys don't take the time to go with anyone else, then you're only gonna have each other forever, and that is not positive. You could grow apart in size. So like, you need to spread out and help. And like, so when you go there, don't just beat their ass, right? Like, help them get better, because you don't know who's going to be your main training partner in 3 or 4 years. And it's going to be way more ideal if you have 6 guys your weight than if you have 1. If you have 1 guy that's really competitive, your weight is not going to be hugely beneficial. But if you have 6 and you can be in charge of that. And if you're just a dick to them and you just beat them up, they ain't going to want to be here anymore. They're not going to get better. And so you need to, you know, I'm going to help also, but you also need to make that happen.
Yeah.
In your best interest. It's in everyone's best interest to make that happen.
100%. Okay. Want to hit a question before we go, or do we want to? Why don't we take these questions to tomorrow's show, because there are some good ones in here.
Wait, there was one more that I saw. No, I was gonna laugh because Wick Jacoby literally asks, "Why do you hate Mizzou?" on every question. I think.
I don't hate Mizzou.
Why do you?
Why is a different question. Do I? No. No, I don't hate Mizzou.
All right. Yeah, let's do the others under the text email. Let's do those 2 tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
All
right. That's the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Special thanks to Helen Maroulis for hopping on. That was awesome. Can't wait to watch her compete, and for all the Final X and all the great freestyle wrestling we have coming these next couple weeks. It's going to be over fast. It's the only sad part about it. But the period of time where it's all happening with the trials and Final X is going to be glorious. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll hit up Shane, see if he wants to rain check it and pop on Thursday.
Let's go, Shane.
He might have a call on Thursdays, some Flow Sports sales call. I don't know. But if not, we'll try to get him on here. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll have our full World Team Trials breakdown, predictions. I don't know if I'm going to make predictions. I'm just going to put it out there. I don't know. Because you know what happens?
Shane would. So if we're making predictions, we shouldn't have Shane on because he's going to be like, I don't know who to pick. Freaking make a decision.
Because literally what happens when I do it, I'll make a prediction on Thursday, and then I call the matches, and then it happens, and then Don Bradley's yelling at me.
Listen, that's part of the job. That's what we do here.
All I want is to not get yelled at by Don Bradley is what it comes down to.
You better pick him then.
Fine, he's going to win. Shock the world, Don Bradley. All right, guys, thanks so much.